Hello, y'all on YouTube. This is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting review, something that I'm really excited to talk about. We're going to review the Luv Them Knives LTK, the Rezult, R-E-Z-U-L-T. This is the name of the knife. It's called the Rezult. And this is titanium. You can see it's milled with textured, and this is red G10 inlaid on the inside of the knife, and so there's some milling there to lighten it, which I think is really cool. And as you can tell, this is a button lock. So you can see the button lock right there. Get a little focus on that. I love the texture on here, if you can see all of that. And this is a nice gray stone washed kind of a finish on here. It does have a titanium backspacer with a lanyard kind of a loop in there. This is a titanium pocket clip, a bent pocket clip, but you can see it's reversible. So you can put it in left or right. So lefties rejoice. This is a lefty-righty kind of knife. It can absolutely be reversed. Now, unfortunately, these are T6s. I wish those were T8s. But this is a T8 right here, but these are T6s. They're a little bit small, which is unfortunate, but that's all right. Nice jimping on the flipper, which I think is cool. Nice and round all the way around the edges. I think it's fantastic, all right? The designer is Luv Them Knives. He has his own YouTube channel if you haven't checked him out. He designed this knife. I think this is his second knife he's designed. I really like this. The designer is We Knives. They do a fantastic job on this. They really did. I would say when this came out, this was the best button lock that I had had. Excuse me. I had experience. I'd had several Malibus, which I enjoyed, and I had a Mordax, which I enjoyed. And I really, really liked the button lock on here. It was phenomenal. And let's go ahead and do a little flip. You can see that nice kind of a clip point there blade, a really nice, almost drop point, clip point, I don't know what you want to call it. Button lock right there. The button lock is kind of sticks out a little bit, but it's not in the way when you hold it. You could sort of choke up. I don't know if I would do it. It's more of a sharpening tool there, but nice grip on here. You can see a little relief, roundedness all the way around here for that. The close action on this is nice and smooth, and it does close really well. Right? It's got a fuller in here on both sides that has just enough of an edge to be very functional for lefty and for righty. So for opening, it's nice, and for closing, it's really nice. And if if you're left-handed, really can get in there. If you choke up, yeah, is there a chance you can clip that? But you really have to push that in for it to finally break free. This button has to be really pushed all the way in. So I think your chances are light, but if you're going to be up and going crazy like that, first of all, I wouldn't be going crazy with your finger that close to the knife, right? That I wouldn't recommend that. If you're going to be, you should be back here, and it's a button lock. So button locks, you shouldn't be whacking trees, logs, and things, because by design there's a spring in here in this plunge lock that pushes it to engage on the back of the tang of the blade, or at least that part of the blade right there. And if it's bouncing, after a while, it can kind of release with vibration and being pushed, and then release it, right? So that's why when they do those whack tests, if you do it enough, right angle, almost, I think, just about any button lock could, after a while, enough stress, enough angle, enough velocity, maybe enough speed or enough vibration, enough speed in which you're doing it, you could probably disengage the plunge lock. I mean, some of them might be near impossible, but I think theoretically, the physics, the way it moves and vibration, you could. So I'm just not a fan of plunge button locks for hard, heavy duty, big beat 'em up kind of use. I think it's a great knife, EDC knife. It's fantastic, beautiful design. I love button locks. I think I just wouldn't make this a super duper heavy use kind of knife. I think frame lock, liner lock, compression lock, scorpion lock, shark lock, triad lock, any of those locks you're going to be much better served, right? And then if you're going to do really heavy duty stuff, get a fixed blade. That's my opinion, right? But I love the shape of this. The handle, everything right here, titanium gray stone wash, which is nice. This is 20 CV blade steel. It doesn't really say anywhere. I do use my knife, so it's a little dirty, but that's okay. 20 CV blade steel, CPM, that's crucible. I believe when I've been stropping this, it's pretty close to 60. I think we're right around 60. It's not super hard. It's not super soft, right? It takes a little while to strop, but it's not impossible to strop, which sometimes means it's a little harder. So that's nice. I do like all of that. I love the jimping. It's got nice jimping here and here, so when you're gripping, you've got some nice texture. Your hand's not going to slide off. If you are doing some kind of a hard push cut, that's always nice. I do enjoy that. It's not going to roll in your hand. I like it just enough, a little curve right there, a little chamfering there. It makes it just a little more comfortable. Plenty of room. I got medium to medium large hands, so medium lengthwise, large widthwise. And so I think an extra large, double extra large, plenty of room. And if you did choke up, you'd have even way more room. But it's just good presentation in this with this knife. I like that a lot. The clip doesn't have any hot spots when I grip really hard. There's no hot spots or burning spots back there. It has got the little loop, which I think this is a lot of people would love to see. We do all the clips like this. Comes down, little loop up, not too crazy, just enough, nice and rounded, which makes it really comfortable, and it goes in and out of the pocket very, very nicely. And because it's titanium, it's got a little flexibility. It's not going to bend really easily. I do like that a lot. I believe I put skiff cage ceramic ball bearings in here, or washers, and it works really nicely. Made it just a little bit smoother, which I really liked, and it's super buttery smooth. I love the fuller. The fuller works perfectly. Just enough edge on there for all of that. So open and close is great. All right, let's do some measurements on the knife. See how much this guy weighs. So we're looking at 4.49 ounces, almost 4.5 ounces. So it's not bad. It's not a light knife. It's not a heavy knife. And you can see that there's not a whole lot of relief or a cutout on the inside. It's all out here, and these G10s are inserted. So that does take a little weight off, but it's not, you know, super light, but it's not super heavy, right? Let's go ahead and measure the length on this one here. We're definitely over 8 inches. We're around 8.25 inches. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, reflecting. Let's kind of get a little bit of an angle here. So we're right about 8.25 inches, right? So 8.25 inches. As far as, excuse me, as far as the length of the blade, we're looking at 3.5 inches from the tip down to the base of the handle. Cutting length, we are probably right at 3.25 inches cutting, right? So it's got a nice belly here, which is a nice rounded cut, which is good. It's got a nice pokey tip. It's not super thin, but it's not super thick. So if you need to get in mulch, cat food, dog food, cases of water, mold, feed, fertilizer, whatever, it's got a nice pokey tip to get into those packaging and opening them up. So that's really nice. I do like that a lot. All right, let's look at the handle. Handle length-wise, we are looking at about 4 and an eighth of an inch for the handle. So plenty of room on there, definitely more than the 3 inch kind of handle. If you were to use the choil area up here for the finger and trigger it, you got 4 3/4 of an inch. So it gives you a little bit of more room. I always say be careful. There's no jimping here, or so you could slide, but you can definitely hold it here and here like that. So you could, and if you were trying to do maybe a precision cut, I guess you could kind of come up here like that. Yeah, anyways. Not always the best recommended, but certainly doable. All right, let's measure the blade stock thickness. All right, so we're 127 hundredths of an inch. I don't know if you can see that. So 128 hundredths of an inch. So it's not super thick, but it's not super thin. So it makes it nice and thin and slicey. It's almost a full flat grind. Comes down to really, I think, a nice thin edge. Very slicey, very sharp. It's got a nice little swedge up here to help you guide through those cuts. So that's always really nice. So the measurements are pretty favorable. And it's not perfect ratios, 3.5 to 4.5. I know it's off an ounce, but still relatively balanced. I think, yeah, okay, the center is right around here. So it's going to feel more balanced if you hold it here, but definitely could be a little heavy back there. But, you know, I like it. I like a little bit of weight to my knife. And I think I'd rather have that for this than anything. So I do enjoy that. All right, so what range does this fall in? So we're looking at a knife that's around the 245 range. This is an exclusive to White Mountain Knives, but if you use the RNK10 code for Rob's Nerdy Knives, RNK10 at White Mountain Knives, you get 10% off. And you could get 10% off of this. And so that would save you like $24.50 off of that knife. So it brings this knife down to like the 220, 200 and see 24, so $221, $220.50. I think that's a pretty good deal if you look into that knife. Still some available as of this video, so definitely check it out. I think it's a great buy. I think for a button lock, for the price and the quality of the button lock, I think we started really executing the button lock really well, and the flipper here really well. And I think what they learned here, they implemented in the Exciton. You probably saw my review earlier. I think the Exciton and the Ziphius, which is a different variant of the Exciton, it's just uses a different kind of blade shape. One's a Warncliffe, one's a Tonto, right? So I can kind of consider the Ziphius and the Exciton kind of the same. That ergonomics, that design, I think came from some of this because they just executed this so well. until those two came out, this I thought was the best button lock out there. It really deploys really nicely, has a nice snap to it. Even with the little fuller here, it pops really well. The close, you can drop it and it locks in place. And you can almost feel it, almost like a detent with that plunge lock here, how it clicks in there. It's not a super hard click because, you know, it's a plunge lock. And plunge locks, they do work on a plunge to the back of the blade with a tang. And looking at this, we're probably a good 30, 40, maybe 50% engagement there, I would say. Probably 50 engagement with that plunge lock. Spring is nice. It does lock in really well. Yeah, no blade play. It's really solid in there. No rocking in and out there. It's pretty solid in there, which is really nice. I like that a lot. And the action, just really smooth. It's got a nice snap to it, especially if you use the flipper, but you do the push button and you can do the light switch. Both work out really, really well. I like that. So that's really cool. All right, so I said 220, so that definitely puts it into what we call the, I would call the regular category, right? So this is the regular category. It's not the budget. It's certainly not the high-end category. It's the regular category. And I think it's a great deal. I think for what you get, it's reasonably priced, in my opinion, especially if you take that RNK10, get the 10% off. So I think that's a really good deal. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the use. We talk a little bit about the purpose. The purpose of this knife, for me, it's EDC every day. I think absolutely you could use this every day. Very comfortable knife. I love carrying this. Open boxes like fertilizer, whatever, mulch, cases of water, works really, really nicely. I do like that. And I like the fact that it still drops like a regular knife and then locks in really well. Dead centering, you can see that, nicely centered. So purpose for me is really nice. It's nice enough that I think you could carry around. With the red G10, I wish there was a black version, personally. He has a tan and a red. I would have loved to have seen a black version of this. I think that would have just would have been really nice, in my opinion. I don't know, just what I would have liked to have seen. The maroon, red, burgundy, whatever you want to call this, it's nice. I like it, and I do like that. I like to wear this carry this on Fridays, support our troops, wear something red on Fridays. I do that, just, support the U.S. military and the deployed folks out there on active duty. But black would have been cool, but I still like this a lot. And theoretically, I guess you could dye this, but I can't take the G10 off, so I'd have to dye it with the scale in there, and it's glued in. I don't know if that would mess it up, but I still like it. I like it a lot. So purpose EDC everyday carry works really nicely. Thin enough edge to really be a very good performance type of knife, especially for a button lock. I don't think you can go wrong with that. I think that's just really nice. All right, let's talk a little bit about how it feels in hand. Very comfortable. Like I said, everything rounded around here. There's no sharp edges. Everything rounded on the clip. Get you a nice presentation, comfortable squeeze, hard work. It's not going to hurt after a while. I love that all the way around. Even if I choke up, I'm still right there solid. Got a nice jimping, keep my hand from sliding. I do like that. So the handle is really comfortable. Opening is beautiful. We already talked about flips really nicely and strongly. The fuller works really nicely as well, and it works left-handed and right-handed, and flipping left and right-handed is really nice. So I like that. The close, to me, you can always do the button lock too, right? So you can do the button lock, open, close. But when you drop it, closes just beautifully, beautifully. Nice close into a solid, hold. It doesn't bounce typically. I mean, sure, if you keep it open, it's going to bounce if you leave it open, but if you release it and then let it go, it's going to lock in there really nicely, and I think that's really cool. So overall feel and everything, I think it's fantastic. My thoughts, it's going to be highly recommended. I absolutely think this is a recommended knife. I think it's a great buy for the materials, for the quality of the button lock, the titanium, and even it's got that beautiful texture here. I'll try to zoom in on that a little bit. Let's do that. You can see that nice texture, and even texture on the G10 too. So that gives you some nice texture to hold. It's not going to be super slippery in your hand. You can see that on both sides. You see that texture all the way around over here, and very subtle Love Them Knives kind of a logo. That's it. Everything else is very, very plain. You can see the jimping over here. The jimping on the flipper is nice. The jimping on the spine of the blade is really nice. It's nice and rounded. And then you can see the wonderful swedge up here. That's nice. And then you can look at that blade, nice flat grind, which is really, really nice. And then this is nice and rounded, so it's very comfortable in here. You're not having anything digging sharp in there. That's really comfortable. That right there is really nice, rounded all the way around. I like that. And I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if we can focus in on this. Look at that. There's even a little bit of texturing. If you can see that, a little bit of texturing, kind of a radius texturing on the button. I think that's really kind of cool. I like that touch. So all of that makes this a very much recommended knife. And I think you're getting a lot of value. I mean, yeah, I wish T8's here. Sure, that would have liked. Black G10, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. And if you had T8's, Black G10, it would have been like, to me, it would have been a home run, no questions asked. 10 out of 10, perfect knife. It's pretty darn close to a perfect knife, I think. I really, really like this knife a lot. And I'm going to highly recommend this knife. So it's still really close for sure. So we'll go back out a little bit. Definitely recommend it for sure. So definitely going to be a recommended knife. I'm going to have this in my recommended knives. I think if you get a chance, if you like the ergonomics, if you like the aesthetics of the knife, you like the look, you should really check it out. I think it's a great deal. I do like all the above, and I even like the red. I just, you know, a couple of things I would love to have seen. Maybe if he does another one in the future, he does black, but really, really great job on this knife. I think we did an outstanding job. The button lock works really, really well. This is a hidden gem. I think if there's still some available when you see this, you should really check this out. I think it's worth it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you're looking for a great quality button lock, this is definitely, and I know some of you guys are going to be like, you can't possibly say that. No, I've owned a ProTech Mordax. I've owned a couple of Malibus, maybe 3, I think it is. And I love my Malibus, don't get me wrong. I think the button lock on this is better than the Mordax and the Malibus. Absolutely. I'm going to say that. Now, is it as good as the Exciton and the Ziphius? No, I think that took it up another notch. Definitely another notch, but they also have more premium materials. Both of those were limited runs, right? So you're getting something that's not necessarily a limited run, that's still available at a better price, half the price really. I think it's worth considering. Absolutely worth considering. So that's my recommendation. If you've been on the edge or on the fence on there, I think if I can, I'd push you over, just give it a shot. I don't think you'd be disappointed. If you like the ergonomics, if you like the size, if you like the looks of this, I think, and you're looking for a button lock and you like button locks, I think you'll really enjoy this. And if you're on the fence about getting a good button lock, you wanted to try and you weren't sure where's a good button lock to try, I would say try this. It'll spoil it. It'll have you have higher expectations for every other button lock you ever try. And it might even make that bar a little more challenging for all those other knives to meet. That's my opinion. If you've already had button locks and they've been okay, whatever, and you're looking for something to kind of wow you, I think this might do it. Just my thoughts. My ideas on there. So this is just my review impressions of the knife and my experience as I've been carrying and using this knife for a while. What are your thoughts? Feel free to comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions about the review? Any things you'd like to hear me talk about? Or you'd like to maybe answer some questions that you have about this knife or my reviews in general or the channel? Please feel free to comment down below. I do try to reply to everybody. If you enjoyed this review and you liked what you heard, you found it entertaining, of value, or just good information, would you consider hitting the like button down below? If you've already hit that like button, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. Subscribing and liking the channel and the videos really, really helps out the channel a lot. We allow us to do more things, produce more content, bring more things to you guys, and I'm very appreciative of that. And if you've already done all of that, maybe consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content. And if you've already done all of that, maybe check me out over on Instagram. Again, on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.